Do you ever find yourself making the same bad decision over and over and over again? You resolve to change it, but when you're confronted with the opportunity to do it again, you always make the same wrong choice. If so, it's either because you're making a decision when you shouldn't be, or not making a decision when you should be. Let me explain. In psychology, there's something known as a heuristic, a general rule of thumb applied to certain decisions that allow you to make snap judgments using as little mental processing power as possible. It's like an if-then statement in computer programming. If one condition happens, you'll get a certain result. If a different condition happens, you'll get a different one. When a programmed robot executes its code flawlessly, it can seem like it's making decisions about what to do in the moment, depending on what circumstances it encounters, but in fact, those decisions were made ahead of time by its programmer. This is basically what happens in your brain when you're using heuristics, and usually your conscience isn't the programmer. So today, I'm going to unpack some of the ways your brain is programmed against you and how you can fix it. Hi, I'm Mayhem, musician, philosopher, cult leader, human. And this is my series Neurohacking, which is a made-up word that makes learning psychology sound cool. Now, I mentioned there are two ways heuristics can be contributing to your chronic bad decisions. Either you're not making a decision when you should be. In other words, you have a self-destructive heuristic running that causes you to make the same bad decision every time, or you're making a decision when you shouldn't be. In other words, you say you've resolved to change, but when it comes down to the time you actually need to select option good or option bad, you act as if you haven't made your mind up yet, and, tempted in the moment, end up choosing bad. In which case, you would greatly benefit from a positive heuristic that programs you to always choose the good option. Therefore, I've decided to make this video in two parts. This video will teach you how to identify and change self-destructive heuristics, while next week's video will teach you how to create beneficial heuristics from scratch. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. So how can you tell if you're suffering from a self-destructive heuristic? When it comes to your bad decisions, see if you identify with any of the following. You tend to make the same bad decision over and over. It's not different ones every time. You sometimes find yourself engaging in the bad decision without realizing you even chose to do it. Certain places, emotions, or times of day trigger you to engage in the bad decision. You sometimes engage in the bad decision without even feeling like you enjoy it, but rather out of habit. You often feel ashamed of the bad decision as if it doesn't align with what you actually want to do. If you felt like one or more of these describes what you're going through, you are probably suffering from self-destructive heuristics. If you identified with all of them, I think I can give you an official diagnosis. And you're in luck, because I have the cure. Step 1. Identify the decision. If you make a lot of bad decisions, it's important to focus on just one, at least one at a time. That's because there's going to be different reasons you engage in different decisions. There isn't any part of your brain that's intent on, quote-unquote, making bad decisions. Rather, every decision you make seems like the right decision to some part of your brain when you make it, or else you wouldn't make it at all. So start by being specific about what behavior you want to change first. Step 2. Identify the triggers. If you're operating on a self-destructive heuristic, there are most likely specific places, times, emotions, or people that trigger you to start making an automatic bad decision. So you'll need to start by identifying what these are. Try to think about what happened before you made the decision in the past that may have led you to do it, and take notes throughout your week every time you make the bad decision. For example, you may start scrolling through social media every time you feel embarrassed or awkward, or you may stop in for a drink every time you pass your local bar. Compile a list of all the things that give you the impulse to do the thing. Step 3. Identify threats and rewards. Now we're going to attempt to identify the deeper reason why you feel compelled to engage in this behavior, the void you are trying to use it to fill in your life. Here's where the list you made in step 2 will come in handy. If you have many triggers, try to see if any patterns emerge, and try to identify the emotion underneath that the trigger brings up and the behavior resolves. For example, if you scroll through your phone during awkward silences, it may be the feeling of awkwardness that scrolling helps you avoid. If you always want to drink after work, it may be the feeling of stress that you want to escape. Or if you get a candy bar from the vending machine whenever you're on break, you may feel like your career isn't rewarding at all and you need something to stimulate that sensation. If you get stuck, try using the method I outlined in my video, Why Your Decisions Are Weak Sauce. The rationalizations you collect from your emotional brain may help you discover the reasons you make bad decisions, if nothing else does. Step 4. Find alternatives. Once you have an idea of what emotional needs or wants you're using bad decision X to try to get, it's time to find healthy ways to fill those needs. I'm going to present some common emotional needs and healthy ways to meet those needs. If yours isn't on the list, leave a comment and I'll try to think of some, or do a quick Google search for healthy ways to feel X. For example, if you feel lonely, reach out to family or old friends you haven't spoken to in a while. Try to talk on the phone or plan to meet in real life. Go to an event like chess club or book club to meet new people. Ask people deep questions instead of sticking to small talk. Try to really get to know someone. When you try to make someone else feel less lonely, you'll usually feel less lonely too. If you feel anxious, ideally try therapy, but if that's not available to you, there are many resources you can get for free, like YouTube videos and books from licensed therapists. Try to reduce your caffeine consumption, as caffeine can increase anxiety. Learn about meditation. Try drinking herbal tea, especially ones specifically designed for anxiety. If you feel bored, do something creative like drawing, writing, making music, or doing a craft, or read a book. If you're bored while you have to work, have something like seltzer water, gum, or ambient music to feel more stimulated. Take breaks to walk and release tension in your muscles. If you feel unfulfilled, evaluate whether you're in the right career fit. If not, think about what would be better and make a long-term plan to move towards that. If your interactions with people are unfulfilling, try to be more authentic and present in the moment. Spend quality time with people instead of just texting or watching TV. If you hate your living space, try decorating and cleaning it, or make a long-term plan to move. If you feel hungry, make sure to have healthy snacks on hand, like fruit, carrots and peanut butter, protein bars, yogurt, popcorn, or jerky. Make sure to drink lots of water, since sometimes hunger is really thirst. If you feel tired, work on prioritizing your sleep. Avoiding screens and bright lights before bed, sleeping in total darkness, getting bright light in the morning, and limiting caffeine and alcohol, which interrupt your REM sleep cycle. Poor diet can also cause fatigue, so make sure you eat enough protein and vegetables. If you feel overwhelmed, use the method I detail in my video, How to Get Out of a Rut. If you feel awkward, realize everyone is too busy worrying about themselves to pay much attention to you. And remember that being unapologetically awkward is an assertion of dominance. And if you feel sad, try to go for a walk in nature and listen to your favorite music. Or spend time with a pet, or watch a movie or TV show you enjoy. These are all preemptive ways to fulfill the need you have before it reaches the critical point that triggers your subconscious to try to meet it in any way possible. This de-escalates the conflict before it happens, which should help put you back in the driver's seat next time you have the same choice to make. Step 5. Create a new heuristic. Once you've dealt with the reason you have this bad habit in the first place, it's time to create a good habit in its place. So, tune in next week for my video about how to create positive heuristics. Same bat time, same bat channel. Love, mayhem.